for all that she has done and what she has accomplished. I'd like to next introduce Admiral Steve Abbott, who United States Navy, and he's retired. And until September of 2019, Admiral Abbott served as the President and Chief Executive Officer of the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, a private, nonprofit, and aid society that's dedicated to assisting sailors, Marines, and their families. From October 2001 through May of 2003, he served as the Deputy Homeland Security Advisor to the President. Admiral Abbott's last military assignment was as Deputy Commander-in-Chief of the United States European Command in Stuttgart, Germany. He oversaw the daily activities of a unified combatant command with the area encompassing approximately 89 countries and more than 13 million square miles. He was born in Pensacola, Florida. Admiral Abbott graduated from the United States Naval Academy in 1966. His graduate studies included Oxford University as a Rhodes Scholar. Admiral Abbott currently serves as the director of the Naval Academy Foundation. Next, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Susie Schwartz. And Susie has been a real champion for military spouses and families. She supports and is active in numerous military philanthropic and assistance programs. She is a passionate supporter of the Military Child Education Coalition, which focuses upon the challenges which face highly mobile military school-age children. While at Scott Air Force Base in Illinois, she worked with the Fisher Foundation to establish a comfort home for the Veterans Administration Hospital in St. Louis, and more recently was instrumental in the establishment of another Fisher home facility at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. Susie has served as an Air Force Aid Security Board member and has also actively participated in the White House Joining Forces Initiative with a purpose to mobilize all sectors of American society to support the military community. She continues to support Sesame Workshop for Military Families, Operation Homefront, and Armed Services YMCA, and the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors. She is a current board member of the Fisher House Foundation National Board of Directors and serves on the Board of Advisors to the National Military Family Association. Susie is the spouse of former Air Force Chief of Staff, General Norton Schwartz. I think his formal name is Norton. She now serves as Vice President for the Military Spouses Program for Victory Media, the publisher of Military Spouses Magazine. And finally, I'd like to introduce Stuart Snedeker. Stuart grew up in rural Arizona along the Colorado River. He is the son of a small business owner, and from an early age, he was taught conservative values and what we call service above self. This example is what spurred him to become an Eagle Scout, a state vice president for the Future Business Leaders of America, and state treasurer for the Teenage Republicans. It was this same sense of service that led him to enlist in the United States Marine Corps, where he served from 1996 through 2000. After serving his country, he used his GI Bill to earn a Bachelor of Science degree in Global Business Finance from Arizona State University, and he graduated summa cum laude. In short, Stuart is a Marine Corps veteran who is highly respected for his strong core values and is a person of faith. So with that, I'd like to make some opening comments, if I might. Well, let me start with our opening question. I think that we should get right to the heart of the matter as to why these individuals have decided to give their support to Vice President Joe Biden. And I've been asked to kind of, if I might, talk about my support for Joe Biden. And I think mine's probably a little bit more personal than some of the others. There is some policy considerations. I have paid close attention. And it started some time ago. I mean, Cindy, when he, in the 2016 election, talked about John and him being a prisoner of war and not being a hero to this country, I was devastated. How could he say that of an individual that had given so much uh, for this country? I've seen him disrespect Gold Star families. Uh, I that hurt me terribly. You know, I've asked many other questions about some of his policy issues regarding the military, but I think it really made me decide to go with Joe Biden. And I'm a lifetime Republican. It has not been an easy decision. It was actually the Atlantic news article that came out some months ago, and it's been corroborated by several news organizations, including Fox News Media, that indicated that President Trump did not really show the empathy and the respect for those that are serving or have served this nation. He called them losers and suckers, and that hit me deeply and personally. You know, I joined the Marine Corps when I was a very young man. I served in Vietnam in 1968 and 69. And I joined the Marine Corps with my very best friend, David Thomas Schaefer. We were separated. I went to the 1st Marine Division. He went to the 3rd. And I was wounded in Vietnam, but shortly after I was wounded, he was killed in Vietnam. Dear friend of mine. And I thought, a loser? I couldn't understand that. And I would never accept that. And then, of course, you know, having been wounded, and I was seriously wounded. I was in military hospitals for years. And I saw literally hundreds of veterans, you know, come to in those hospitals, and I saw their suffering. And I knew that there's a lifetime of pain that they would have and have to deal with their disability. You know, they're not suckers. They serve this country. They need to be honored and revered. And that's when I decided I needed to not just vote against him, but I decided to speak out against President Trump. I cannot support a commander in chief that does not have our back when times get to be real tough. With that, Cindy, I'd like, you know, can you kind of tell us why you've decided to support Vice President Biden?
Well, first of all, I want to tell everyone thank you for coming and thank you for listening to us tonight. This is a very important issue regarding our active duty and our veterans. And most importantly, it's about the future of this country. I'll begin with the fact I'm a Republican, just like Rick is. And I have no intention of changing my party. That's not why I'm here. But I do believe that we need to do what's right for this country. And I had the same reaction you did, Rick. I was listening to this. I'd listened through the months and listened to him denigrate my husband and then denigrate my husband again while my husband was on his deathbed. I listened to it, and that's a side. So that happens. And John kept telling me, he said, don't, it's just politics. Don't react to it. And I didn't. But when the president decided to call my children and my husband and my father and all the other hundreds of people in my family that have served honorably, losers and suckers, that was the tipping line for me. Because I think particularly about what this president has done to this country with regards to leadership and how we stand globally right now really concerns me, because my boys are serving, my boys are part of this. I also resented a great deal, Rick, and I know you know this. I resented hearing that there was money given by the Russians to the Taliban to target and kill American troops in Afghanistan. My son was there. He was there. So I think it's time that we elect a president that is leadership quality, that knows what's right and wrong, that has empathy and concern, but more importantly, acts for the country and not himself or the party. That's really what I'm looking for. And I also know that since I've known Joe for a long time, I don't know if many of you know this story, but our families have known each other for 40 more years. And we both had sons in Iraq at the same time, not at the same place, But so we, at the same time, we were running against each other, and that's not the right term. We both had sons serving. It changes you. It changes you as a person, and it changes your focus. And I just believe that Biden is not only who I think we should be voting for, but can bring esteem and worth back to the international stage on behalf of the United States of America.
Wonderful. Admiral Abbott.
Rick, thank you very much. It's a great privilege to be with you and with the other panelists, and a real pleasure to be able to talk to my fellow citizens in Arizona and to talk a little bit about Joe Biden. But like you, I'm going to need to start out by talking about John McCain. I was 13 years old, living at the Naval Academy when my father was the deputy commandant. And the deputy commandant is responsible for all the discipline among the midshipmen at the Naval Academy. And so he actually got to know John McCain pretty well. And then, as it turned out, John McCain came back and served on board my father's ship, the USS Intrepid, when John was an A1 driver, and he actually stood deck watches, as we say in the Navy, and he and my dad got close. Of course, my father was a contemporary of John's dad and knew the family. So, you know, that was a motivation for me to get onto flight training, which I eventually did, and ended up flying the same kind of airplanes that John McCain did. I was in the Tonkin Gulf on the Enterprise in the middle of March 1973 when the prisoners were released from North Vietnam. I'll never forget it. And when the candidate Trump in 2015 said that he was not a hero, I had the same reaction you did, Rick. It was visceral and emotional, and I couldn't vote for him in 2016, so I didn't. But I watched as the next 4 years have evolved, and frankly, I've watched a series of missteps, and you and Mrs. McCain have mentioned a couple of them. I would just mention a couple of others. I was distressed at the treatment that our allies and friends received from the president. And I feel like we have done significant damage to our alliances, especially the NATO alliance. And we need these friends. We will never fight without having our friends and allies alongside. But I watched a series of other incidents. I'll just mention a couple. The intervention of the president in legal matters. There was a senior chief who was a SEAL who was convicted in a court-martial of offenses that his colleagues, considered him guilty of, and the president intervened to set aside his conviction and restore